Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Heroes of New Earth Game Replays cast. I am the Four Court Jester. Tonight with me is the LukDeRiff. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well, especially since it's not like after 12 p.m. for me tonight is actually a pretty reasonable time, so I'm really looking forward to this. And um, I believe this is from the NCL League tournament, and it's around three losers bracket.
It's
So
from Losers Bracket Round 3, right, of the
yeah,
Nordic Clan League. So this was a replay submitted to us through the Nordic Clan League because they're an ongoing competition status right now. And I guess both
yeah.
these teams lost at some point because they're both in the Losers Bracket. Yeah,
Oh, you're so clever.
indeed, I know. But
So
who do we have? We have Xaya Gaming here on the Legion. Xaya, that kind of thing. And Rainbow Unicorn Protectors on the Hellborn, which is quite an awesome name, I think.
yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty long as well, but I,
Yeah.
I personally have never heard of any of those teams. Not bashing them. They might be pretty good. I just have not seen a game of them yet, and I'm really looking forward. Maybe see some original plays and picks. But before that, we will just go over the bands real quick, and as that is my job, I will do it. So we have the bands: Soul Steer, Wretched Hag, Doctor Repulsor, Devour Pebbles, and Thunderbringer. So the pretty interesting. Do you know who banned Pebbles?
I can probably tell you, and it was indeed Rainbow Unicorn Protector, Ninja, team captain. So pink.
So yeah, I thought so because it seems that the Legion of the Legion captain has 12% Pebbles play, and he's probably a really good Pebbles player. Maybe the teams have scrimmed against each other, and Xaya Gaming just beat up with a really strong Pebbles pick. So probably situational ban. Other than that, all the bans pretty reasonable. Wretched Hag, not something that we see um, often, I would say, but she's a really strong hero, especially against tri lane. So I definitely can, see the reasoning behind that ban. And apart from that, all the bans seem to be pretty standard to me.
Well, also the Pharaoh player right now, Destroyer for lack of a better name right now, he is also top played of the Wretched Hag, so that might have something to do with it. Now, these are, of course, I mean, they're all EU accounts, they're all EU teams, because they're part of the Nordic Clan League, which is the NCL, which is what we're doing. And, of course, they're all kind of localized to each other. So that's probably why we haven't seen them too much on the international scene. This is kind of more of a localized organization in a localized tournament. But they do have some teams in here, like Team Wall, which we did see in the Gosu Gamers
Oh,
against
they're really good.
Druids. Remember them?
Yeah, they did. They were awesome.
Right, they're
They were
also part
awesome.
of the NCL here. So
They did the most awesome strategy ever.
yeah, the push strat.
Ever!
Yeah, it was pretty good. You guys should check that back out over at GameReplays.org. But it was a very vastly entertaining game. But other than other games, why don't we focus a little bit more here? So who do we got for picks that have come out so far here, Luke?
Yeah, well, we have for the Hellboard, Voodoo Jester, Pharaoh, Hellbringer, and Flint Beastwood. Gonna be pretty interesting what the last pick's gonna be. Just looking over it really quickly, we have strong initiation by Pharaoh and Hellbringer. Flint Beastwood obviously a strong carry. Voodoo Jester providing excellent support, and it seems like a pretty well-rounded lineup. Maybe they're lacking a bit of AOE, so I definitely agree with the Bowles last pick because he adds that nice little touch, but he wouldn't really suit the lineup, I think, because his initiation is based upon that people move out of the way, and Pharaoh just is really good at keeping people in a place. So that's pretty not that synergistic, to be honest. But we'll see how it turns out, what the last pick's going to be. While that is going on, I will go over the Hellborn lineup very quickly. We have Chipper, Witchslayer, Arachna, Kraken, and Andromeda. So we have Witchslayer and Andromeda, which are most likely going to go into the trial lane. With Chipper and Arachna, we have two very strong solo heroes, and we have Kraken, who can either, you can basically, what I've been seeing people do is like play him as a sort of carry initiator kind of thingy, and let him farm in the trial lane. I'm not quite bought on that, but they can also run him as a solo midway. He does reasonably well. So also very interesting what they're gonna do.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an atypical lineup tonight. My issue with the Legion right now is they look very squishy. Hellbringer, Voodoo Jester, Flint Beastwood, very squishy. Now they have a Pestilence, and adds a little bit more beef to go with that Pharaoh. And as you were saying, a little bit about initiation, of course, with the Voodoo Jester's acid cocktail to the Pharaoh mummies, and of course, Big Malphus coming out there. Now Pestilence can obviously portal in and do a stun there. That leaves a lot of room for Flint Beastwood to make use of his various skills. So, I mean, it looks strong, but I also see very three squishy heroes, especially when we look at Silver Bullet coming out of a Witch Slayer. Chipper with his rockets and Tar. Now that Tar's instant, we've really seen Chipper come back into the scene. Arachna can easily just chase down opponents with her web and her spider, and Kraken is well, it's a Kraken. I mean, he is a very strong hero ever since the rework, but I haven't really seen him in use to date. So I'm a little interested to see how he's going to be played here.
Yeah, I have not really seen very much play of Kraken either, and to be honest, I'm not, a big Kraken fan, but he's one of those heroes that always make for a um, good game. Nowadays he's pretty strong in offensive initiation, not that much of a turtle hero as he used to be. So I'm pretty much looking forward. But I really like the Pestilence pick. Gives him probably some more late game power as well as much better initiation combined with a Pharaoh as both of their placeholders together. They keep people in a place. So in the late game, Flint Beastwood can rain hell or a havoc or whatever on them. While Bubbles, you really want to pair him up with AOE heavy heroes so that the heroes have to move around and with his ultimate. But as you said, that the Legion, the Hellborn lineup they're going to be pretty strong against them early game, but I think when Flint Beastwood he can tank up pretty well. Like he will probably get the Geometer's Frostwolf Skull combination,
Typical,
which
yeah.
is yeah, it's a typical, but it makes you pretty strong. Like Pestilence is pretty sturdy himself, Pharaoh as well, and Hellbringer's also with the Live Void not an easy target later on in the game. So as much as might be right in the beginning, they got some squishy heroes. I wouldn't call the Legion lineup really squishy. They got quite some beef coming out the longer the game goes.
Right, but if you don't let the game go that long, I mean, I've seen even solo Hellbringers get shut down simply because early game harassment and early game deaths just started adding up too much, and by mid to late game, they're not farmed, they don't have the items, and they can't. All they can do is throw it on the Malphus, and then basically they're
Yeah,
splat. So we'll have to see
they've
how it does go down and how each team plays here. I mean, if they're going to be very aggressive on any of these lanes, then, I mean, like bottom right now, we have Hellbringer, Flint Beastwood. Again, two very squishy. 492 hit points on Flint Beastwood. That's even less than Hellbringer, and he's supposed to be, the main damage dealer. Compare that to Kraken, 663.
Oh my god, the Legion are not running a trial lane.
I was going
This
to
is
say,
gonna
what did I
be
just miss?
yeah. I was like, and also by the Hellborn, very well done because the Legion had Pharaoh on the team. They checked for the level 1 Conqueror. I was like, that's pretty nice. It doesn't take you really very much time. Probably not very offensive, but you definitely make sure that nothing's going to happen. So this bottom lane, they're gonna struggle pretty hard. Especially, I think that Hellbringer and Flint Beast were not a really strong lane, to be honest. I mean, Hellbringer is definitely a strong harasser, but I just don't like him as a babysitter, really. I really like him as a solo hero. I say that in every cast, but I think he really excels in the solo with the extra levels. But yeah, we're gonna see how that turns out. And
It's
mid
not
is
going to
gonna be
turn out
Pharaoh.
well because Hellbringer goes down just before Andromeda. But I mean, this is the problem with the two squishy lanes, in my opinion. That's me.
Yeah,
Just
definitely.
as a side note here, Luke, before we continue, this is not patch 1.20. This is patch 1.19 before the Meraxes patch and before map changes went into effect. So just in case anyone's
Yes,
wondering,
definitely.
this is not the Meraxes patch. We don't have more axes in this patch.
Yeah, definitely. Like you can see that easily on the mini map, I suppose. Um, it's gonna be pretty interesting, like how Pharaoh can deal with Chipper here. I mean, you never can really shut down a Pharaoh because he'll always get last hits with his rocket, obviously. Also very interesting which item build he goes. He goes Tormentor's Soul, 2 and Wall of Mummies 1 is pretty interesting. I'm a big fan of that in the solo lane. I don't think that Hellfire does do you any good. Like, it just literally doesn't. Because nobody will be so stupid to let you just walk up to them and let you kill them. So I'm definitely a fan of the Wall of Mummies and Tormented Soul build in the solo lane.
I'm a fan of tri-lanes on squishy heroes. They're not going to be able to take down the Flint Beastwood, but I mean, right now the tri-lane I don't think is paying off yet. We do have, it's a 3 experience to 2 experience. They did get the kill, but they also had a counter kill, and that was landed on the Beastwood because he's already 3. I mean, if he wasn't 3, he probably wouldn't have lived there. I mean, the extra hit points, the extra little bit of armor he got probably gave him a little bit of an edge. And Kraken right now is 2. Andromeda's still 1 because she died. And, I mean, other than the Comet, that's all she's really going to be able to contribute. So, at this point, I mean, if they're going to stick with the triangle, they have to be very aggressive, push up really hard, keep the aggressive stance on the heroes, and try to push down that tower. Unfortunately, none of them are push heroes. So it's going to be very hard for them to do that. I'd expect them to split off at this point and go a 2-1-2.
They probably should ward the camp, and they did. So the creep pulling is not going to happen unless that's going to be counter warded, and now they're going to take the creep cat, just even try to do that. The problem is Flint Beastwood, he can just comfortably sit in tower range really easily once he gets his range up. He just will sit there and last hit from a very safe spot. But as long as they can prevent the lane from being pushed all the way to the tower and being hovering right in the middle, they have a really good time like ganking against them. I don't think that pushing will work in this trial lane because, as you said, there is nobody who really can contribute anything to some kind of push. So it's going to be pretty interesting.
I don't know, it's just everyone right now is a little bit passive. I mean, up top, Arachna is trying the best she can, 2-on-1. And at this time, what is Arachna sitting at? She has a little bit of a creep pull going on here, but Cocky, I guess, is his name. He's 9-6. So he's struggling a little. He is getting the denies, though. Pestilence, however, is 15-11, so he's definitely winning that lane with the help of the Voodoo Jester. Mid, of course, Pharaoh. He's at 18-4, using his snot rockets there to get a few last hits. Come on, it's not. Give it up. But he is against that chipper who has the range advantage, so to speak. Plus, of course, his rockets are on a much shorter cooldown and cost less. But that aside, it's roughly equal there in the mid, and I don't know, this tri-lane is still tri-laning it up.
Yeah, and that's I see the big problem is thus far has been that there was some pretty effective creep pulling there. Well, Legion, and as I said, like as long as Flint Beastwood, he's got super good range. Like he's got the best range in the game, obviously.
If it's okay, it is leveled up. Okay. Well,
yeah,
as long yeah.
If you have 1 level, you have 630 range, I believe, and then you're outranging anybody else in the game. So
yes and yes, I'll leave it at that. I don't know. Do you think Witchslayer's gonna go down here? Nah, there's not enough dot
They
damage.
don't have the burst potential. They don't have burst coming out.
Talk about checking the forest with your face, though. Yeah, he really went deep there. But we have a level 6 now. With the solo lanes are now level 6 in the mid. Arachna is, of course, not 6 because she's getting denied to the high heavens by, of course, this Pestilence who's up to 14 denies. And what goes on down south? The Hellbringer does drop because it does look like Flint was... What was he doing? Checking the creep camp?
Where's Flint?
What do you mean, where's Flint? He's in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I was like, you could have helped, but it didn't look like he was able to. And that is obviously, as I said, the creep wave was more in the middle of things, and so they had some room to actually initiate onto them. And instead of Flint just sitting where he sits now and comfortably last hitting, which he's doing now. Hellbringer going down, definitely nothing you want to have. You don't want anybody to go down, but considering that you're going on 2 versus 3, and the trial lane is pretty strong against, supposedly pretty strong against a dual lane, they've been doing a pretty good job so far, especially that Flint has not gone down yet, I believe. Nope. And that is really the most important part. Like if you can get his farm up, what is his farm right now? Flint 193 gold per minute. That's not too bad, especially against the trial lane. So I suppose it's working out for them pretty well. especially winning the top lane. You know, Pestilence is doing a great job.
Oh, Pharaoh,
So,
you tried so hard, but with all
uh,
that damage coming out, he gets out with the skin of his teeth out of a Snot Rocket, thrown back to the Chipper. They're both very low, but it did look like Chipper had the burst damage advantage there. And so Pharaoh, I mean, sure, fine, he's tanky, but this is why Chipper's very strong right now with that